I had a big project I was working on recently that was taking up a lot of my time. Like, it was basically a part time job. Even though I wasn't getting paid as though it were a part time job, it was consuming all my energy to the point where even when I was off, even doing my real job or just anywhere else for a span of about 2 months, I was always working on this project in the back of my head. There was no stopping at any given time for me. Until finally, this project came to its completion, and it was a project I enjoyed being a part of. So there was some sadness, bittersweet little end to it. But I only really felt the full weight of how much I was doing with that combined with my real job once it was over. Because I felt this almost effort whiplash. And I was like, whoa, I have nothing that I need to do on any night this week or on the weekend. I have so much free time and energy now. And even beyond the time, my mind could finally put down all that work that it was doing on it. So at my job, which involves a lot of sitting behind a desk, there was just this amazing peace resonating all throughout me. Just this sense of there's nothing that I need to do. And it's at times like this when I connect to just the higher purpose of all things. And I don't have a solid answer, but it at least brings me back to questioning. What exactly do I need to do? What is effort? And once we have that answer of what effort is, what do we apply effort to? These are such rudimentary questions. And yet, I feel like I haven't stopped to really ask those questions as much as I probably should have throughout most of my life. Or I didn't ask those questions as much as would have been useful for me. Doing nothing feels pretty spectacular. And I mean like actual doing nothing. I had that extreme example of this all-consuming project that I was working on. But how often are we doing work on something that doesn't require effort, and perhaps the effort is actually very counterproductive? Ruminating on something from years ago that somebody else did to me or that I did wrong, and thinking about how I would handle that situation so much differently now. How many times have I run through that same story in my head of the better way that things could have turned out, that I have no way of changing? And so it doesn't accomplish anything, all that work that I'm doing up here. And if anything, it keeps me from being okay with the way things turned out, with the present situation that past outcome has helped lead me to. There's that kind of work, and then there's planning for the future. If you're a habitual catastrophizer, like I have been, then you know all too well what I'm talking about. How much work are we doing to prevent some potential horrible outcome from occurring in the future? Thinking about all the things that we would control and how we would control them, how we would fine-tune to make sure our experience was optimal in the future. and then ruminating on things that are maybe outside of our control that could happen in the future, some horrible tragedy that could come upon us, some awful dilemma we might find ourselves in, and trying to work out this game plan of every single way that we would solve this issue. And if we come to the conclusion that, oh man, in the future, I won't have any option, I'll just be overcome by this horrible thing that will happen. How much time do we spend thinking about how awful this terrible potential future that we don't even know is going to happen yet? How much time do we spend thinking about that? So much effort just constantly. Because we feel as though we need to have some sense of control however we can find it. But what if there is nothing to control? Or at the very least, what if we could give up 5% of the control that we're trying to take over everything? Just release it out into the great way of things. Just say, fine, I'll be neurotic about all this other stuff, but for these small handful of things, I give that up to you. I give that up to fate. Because the truth is that fate is actually 100% in control. Whatever you want to call it. Fate, the Great Way, the Tao. It is 100% in control. Including being 100% in control of this tiny individual that we've labeled us. It is in control of all of our predispositions, all of our habitual thought patterns, all of this stuff that we like to think that we're in control of, but some part of us always knows that we're not. We are just the pure awareness of all of it. And I think that peace that I've been finding, and that we sometimes find when we are contentedly in a state of doing nothing, that's just us being in touch with what we really are. Which is that pure, all-accepting awareness. Now, this is my best understanding of it at this time in my life. I'm still man in his 30s who's trying to find some level of real-world material success. And so I don't totally have the answer for how to be in a state of contented do-nothing while also managing to be fulfilled in your place in the world. I haven't reconciled that yet. And I haven't totally reconciled things like that peaceful do-nothing feeling that I've been experiencing. Does it need the extreme, focused, dedicated effort towards something that's meaningful to you before it to really highlight its magic? Can you sidestep the process by going to the state of contented do-nothing? Is that even possible? I don't know. And this is where I get back to the place of all that you ever have is the choice of what you do in any given moment. And the peace and contentedness that I feel is in the reassurance that in any given moment, I will do what I feel naturally compelled to do. And that will just be a part of the Great Way. and by being in touch with my true self. That great way has a natural tendency to autocorrect. Or if that sounds too much like trying to fix things that are wrong, we could use the phrase of the great way has a habit of auto-fulfilling what needs to be fulfilled.